call the meeting to order, and our mission is just for all of our new guests. And I want to welcome each and every one of you here. And I would love to hear from each and every one of you, but I think we're pushing for time today. So in the probably with Misty, she's going to probably be able to ask each of us to kind of tell us a little bit about ourselves. That'll be part of her session. All righty. So hang tight and appreciate you being here. We are here every month, the third Tuesday of the month at 2:30. So you are always welcome to come and join us because we want everyone to be included here and feel safe. And we're going to be sharing some really great information on how we can make things better, make the world a better place. Anywho, mission is to foster our unity, equity, diversity, and inclusion in the real estate industry. And as you can see stated there as well, we do have different goals that we would like to achieve with this committee, which is to provide education and resources to our members and community. And we want to break down barriers and celebrate the difference and similarities alike. Foster an environment that enables members and consumers to feel empowered, valued, respected, and safe. Promote ideas and events to further the spirit of diversity and inclusion. Open conversations and training about diversity and inclusion. And that is why we're here of course, final is business communications. I do need the board members here that are here today. If you could please, let's go ahead and approve our last board of directors. No, approve our minutes from September 21st. I know everyone has had plenty of time to read and review, and I think we're good. Can I get a motion? So move. Thank you, Denise Wilson. All righty. And if I can get, what am I supposed to say? Shoot.
A second. You need a second.
I need a second. Okay, Adriana has given us a second. Is there any we need to vote or do we do discussion first?
Yes, as all in favor.
All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? All righty, sounds good. Looks like we will move forward with the approval of the minutes. Ladies and gents, we are here. I do want to announce this quickly as well. We did do an email vote in regards to our chair for 2022, which will be Adriana Burris.
Yay!
She will be our 2020 chair. And Adriana, I promise we'll do a really big celebration for you next month. We're cut for time today, so I do apologize again, but I want to get us moved on to our speaker of the day, which is Misty Kerrigan. And I'm going to tell you, she is a psychologist and she will be assisting us with working through some of the things that we want to work through and be able to try and educate our realtors and of course, make us all better as a whole. Misty Kerrigan, she is a co-founder, chief strategist, Made to Inspire. She has a podcast. She also is an author of a couple of books as well. And she is very involved with community. And also she works with Oak Grove Center. She's been with them for many, many years. And she is well versed in developing and instructing different types of curriculum. Don't shoot me. So anywho, without just delaying any longer, I want to introduce you guys to our guest speaker, Misty Kerrigan. Thank you.
Good afternoon. How's everyone doing today?
Good. All right, we might as well tell them to unmute their mics because this is interactive.
Well, as adults, we learn best interactively and we can have better conversations. If you're in a place where you can't unmute, let's utilize the chat so that we can stay connected. I don't know about you guys, but some days I'm tired of Zoom and other days I'm grateful for it. Mainly when I only want to wear a nice shirt and vest and I'm like, okay, Zoom's not bad. I don't have to leave the house today. And then other times I'm like, I miss people. It just varies. So I want everyone to exhale I train across the state of California for UC Davis and across the country for Heroes Network. And majority of it lies with social services and improving our systems for our at-risk youth and foster youth. And every time the topic comes up of implicit bias, there's already implicit bias to it. So I want to set the tone for today. And the best thing we could do as leaders in your industry and on this committee is have an amazing, robust conversation around it and introduce implicit bias and inclusion as something for which it is, as fun and amazing and something we could all do. And what it's not, a lot of times what people think it is anyone want to unmute and be brave or put it in the chat? What comes to mind when you start hearing these trainings on, or worse yet, when they mandated trainings on, and what first comes to mind when you hear this?
Racism.
Racism. Prejudice.
Yeah.
Tyranny.
What was that last one?
Tyranny.
Tyranny?
Yes.
That's a great word.
Mhm.
Does it feel, it feels heavy, and no matter what culture or race you are or identify with or pronoun, when you show up, you're already showing up with a like, I want to have this conversation, but I don't want to. Am I offending anyone just by talking? So what we want to do is flip the script on what this conversation can be. Polarizing, yes, thank you. What this conversation can be, and start with a blank slate of having it. So what I wanted to do with you guys is give you some of the things that we utilize, go over it in a educational content, but I'm going to be stopping and pausing because this isn't a traditional training, because what we're doing here today is just going to work with you guys, give you ideas on what you want to take forward, what doesn't seem to work, and then open up the floor for some ideas of how you as a committee can take some of this content, create your own, so that it's just as important as my favorite 3 words that when I was investigating you guys in Facebook and on the website was promote, protect, and empower.
Mhm.
I absolutely love those words. I love what our organization does. I can't imagine, do I have any on the call, anyone that's been in the real estate industry for less than a year? Oh, everyone has been here a while. So how many years is anyone, and put in the chat how many years you've been here, but us in video, and thank you for having video on, it does make it easier to train. How many of you have been here longer than 5 years in the real estate industry? Woo, 10. I got 15 years. I got 28 in the chat. Anyone in video beat 28? 20 plus? Anyone 20 years? 20 years plus?
I can beat it. 30 years.
30. That
30
is
years.
longevity. It says a
Yes,
lot
it
about
is.
this committee that I see 18, 20 plus 10 years. Oh, I got 5 years that you guys are taking the time, paying dues, and showing up even after you have all this experience in the field. That says a lot about your character and leadership in the field. So I just want to honor that, because being a part of a committee that meets monthly, holy crap, that's never fun. You do get a lot out of it, but I'm sure with your guys' schedule, and some of you are on more than one committee, it is a lot to just show up. So thank you for being here, and congratulations on all the longevity. So I wanted to take the time and honor the words that we're going to be utilizing today: unity, equality, diversity, inclusion. And whenever I train this, there's always a brave soul that raises their hand and says, isn't that an opposite when we're talking about diversity and inclusion? Anyone else get that? Diversity and inclusion.
Mhm.
So what we want to do today is, without further ado, start the conversation and how we could utilize and need both. Because I don't think you could have diversity without inclusion. You can't have inclusion without diversity. So I'm going to share my screen because it worked in the interim of this. So fingers crossed, technology is on our side today.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I get paid a lot of money to go into counties, organizations, and my favorite thing to do is I get to talk about the elephant in the room. But I've switched it to how do we empower? We know the elephant's in the room. So how do we empower the elephant to be with us and not something we're all scooting around or trying to pretend it's not there? So the training today is empowering the elephant in the room, creating a diverse, inclusive, and innovative workspace. And as you guys know, study after study shows when we have inclusion, diversity, and innovative workspace, the company is more successful, the mission is spread further, and the individuals, especially if you're in sales, you make more money and you're happier about doing it. So these things are amazing and align even without the mandate of a training. So let me tell you a little bit what I do. I come into organizations, I coach CEOs, entrepreneurs, and what I love to focus on is outside of work, having a thriving family. So that the first thing in your life is the best thing in your life and works the best, which is your family, however you create or have that. Your family's thriving, your business is successful, meaning that you are financially making the amount of money to sustain the lifestyle you want. And at the end of the day, you have enough time to impact and change the world with a cause close to your heart, whether it's at-risk youth, let's see, helping people learn to read. It could be the foster youth. It could be ending poverty. So something that you have time at the end of the day. And while you're having this amazing life on a daily basis, you are feeling amazing. You have more energy, more time, and more money. Does that sound great?
Yeah.
How many would love energy, time, and money? Throw one in the chat if you're still paying attention. So let's say you spend this next hour with me, and even with today's training, you get some strategies on more energy, time, and money. How amazing would that be in your life? Yes, it would be great. So what stands in the way? People. People stand in the way of our time, money, and energy. Yes, right? People, our customers help with us gaining the money. Our customers and our coworkers drain the life out of us sometimes. Our customers and our coworkers can increase the energy in our day just by saying hello. So wherever we interact, there's people there. And I want to break it down into your worlds. So some of the people that you guys interact with, I didn't know this. I was just learning it as I was studying your field, was you have a lot of laws and paperwork. And then your laws and paperwork, I don't know if you know this, they contradict each other. You probably knew that. You did. You're at the real estate. No one, I thought 5 years was the lowest, but you have to deal with a lot of people outside of what you do. So if you're a broker, there's other things you deal with banks. If you're a real estate agent, there's brokers, and there seems to be a committee for everything within the realm of it. And then there's other realtors, and then there's home sellers and home buyers. There's yourself. Am I missing any sort of individuals that you might deal with on a weekly or daily basis within this field? I just said lawyers, right? There might be lawyers.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
lawyers,
and you know what? There's
attorneys.
escrow, there's title, there's
Title,
home
yeah.
inspectors, there's termite. Yeah.
Yes. So I didn't even reach that point. So I want to say something that you probably hear a lot. I thought real estate agents just showed houses.
Yep.
Do you get to hear that a lot?
Yes.
So when your field, when you're able to have that interaction with the customer and you take away their stress, you help them through some of actually, I think it's one of the top 3 most stressful times in your life, marriage, baby, house. And you're able to guide them, walk them, help them. What an amazing role you play. And I had bought a house once, I think it was 11 years ago. I had no idea. That's how great realtors sometimes are, is we don't know what's going on in the back end. All I know is I like this one, I don't like that one. Thank you for driving me around. So it's so crazy that some of the major attributes that you have to have are coexisting and almost opposite of each other. You have to be really great with people, but then you have to be really detailed And then you have to be really on top of your game, because I don't know about in your field, but in the field of mental health in child, there is new laws and there's new regulations and there's new standards that almost come out weekly and monthly. And you have to be up to date on all of that while at the same time doing the role that you do. So now we're throwing some more stuff on you. Implicit bias, racism, what does that look like on all your laws and mandates too? So what I want to do is just kind of take a moment to step back and understand that you do way more than sell houses. And what I want to do today is align some of the things that are working when it comes to workforce and inclusion, so that you guys can utilize it in what you do, but individually utilize it so it excels you in your careers and your personal life. And I promise some of the content today will be able to do that. Diverse, inclusive, and innovative workplaces. There is 3 things, and the first thing I want you to really get in your heads today is this. Communication, all communication is meaning. Now, the crazy part is meaning is not what you say or how you say it or what you intend to say, but meaning is only what the other person extracts from your message.
Mm-hmm.
Any parents in the room? Have you ever verbally said something to your children and you know you were really clear, and then maybe you find out that they did exactly the opposite of what it is that you asked? And then when you were reviewing the conversation on what it is you said, they had no idea that, well, I know you said that, but I didn't know that's what you mean. Or you kind of, I thought you meant it this way. So meaning is the other person's extraction from your message.
Spouses.
And spouses, thank you.
I was
That
going to
was
say
quick,
not
Denise.
children, but my eldest.
Yes.
Your eldest. Mm.
Coworkers can fall into this, managers, subordinates, so the specific team members. So it's saying one thing and having the opposite happen in action that you thought would happen from what you said. So communication, we're really going to be kind of refocused on these 3 things as we talk about bias and as we talk about inclusion. Respect is just due regard for the feelings, wishes, and rights and tradition of others. Value is to consider respect, worth, excellence, usefulness, and importance. The best way I could describe value is one of my favorite stories, and that is from an amazing mentor of mine. They don't know they're my mentor, but they have been since I was really little. But Oprah Winfrey has been mentoring me since the first time I watched daytime TV, and she had a talk show. And she said, she was in an interview, and she said, I've interviewed kings, queens, Beyonce, murderers, rapists, people in prison, and all the way in between. And when that camera stops, every single one of them has turned to me and said, was that okay? And then she took that and she said, it helps me realize that no matter who you are, there's 3 things that we need as human beings. And that's 3 things are, do you see me? Do you hear me? And does what I say matter? Do you see me? Do you hear me? And does what I say matter? And that is value, respect, and the communication of what they're taking from how you're interacting with them. And if you can nail those 3, you are going to be happier as a person, but you are going to be so more influential with your customers, with your coworkers, with your boss, with your team members. Because once those 3 things are aligned and met in another person, stand back. I think there's books on it. That anyone in here in sales? I thought there might be a few of you. What is one of the most popular books everyone always says to read? How to Win and Influence. You don't even read. Don't read the book. I'm going to give you the thing. Do you see me? Do you hear me? And does what I say matter? Here's the shortcut. Listen more than you talk. Validate when you listen. And don't just talk to have the rebuttal. There's other key points in there, but those are the main things. And when we start with this foundation, as crazy as it sounds, some of the other stuff is simple. So the objectives are today, I want to introduce to you guys and talk with you about the science of implicit biasm. Oh, gee, that went way too fast. I got super excited with my clicker. There we go. I want to give you some strategies for reducing and interrupting it. And I want to create an inclusion action plan with you guys, or at least start one so that we could get your committee out and running on this topic. The science of implicit bias. I love science. So, of course, the first thing we have to do is show a biased video. How else do we learn? Share. Can everyone see the video? I hope we can all hear it.
Oh, yeah, I can see it.
Can you hear it?
Need more volume. Are you sharing the sound?
Is it not loud enough?
No, it needs to be a little louder.
A little too low.
Breast police have arrived. 100% breastfed, straight from the source. Drug-free pull birth, dolphin assisted. But you push, we cuddle. Yeah, cuddling is bonding.
Helicopter mom, 12 o'clock.
Must be mommy's day off.
Oh, that's sexist. What, you want to go? Well, no.
Oh, disposable diaper. Well, apparently we don't care about the environment. Oh, look, it's crunchy granola mom.
It's real.
I wonder what it's like being a part-time mom. Ooh. Stay-at-home moms.
I wonder what they do all day.
Mani-pedis. Looks like some moms are too lazy to breastfeed. Someone came with their nipples blazing. Oh yeah, well I popped during conference calls. Hello.
It's not all about the breasts. Actually, yeah, it is. No, it's not. No. But it's not.
You want a piece of this? Oh, you want a piece of this? Well, I'll show you some screen-free parenting. Great. Nibble up, ladies. It's go time. Hey. Yeah, go.
I'll be back.
Let's do this. Oh. Gosh, oh.
There is nothing more that people are more opinionated over than parenting. And some of the issues that they were fighting about in the communicable way is how you're raising your child. Do I have any parents in the room? How much unsolicited advice did you get as new parents? Maybe from your parents, maybe from your in-laws, maybe from the people, or even how much unsolicited looks did you get? Maybe if you were doing something a little untraditional. Oh, you do it that way? Oh, you don't spank? Oh, you spank? Like you get the head nod, right? So in looking at something as universal as parenting, there is no specific, I think there's books on it. Anyone read a book on it? There is so many books on it. It is insane. And there's so many ways and different ways to raise traditionally, non-traditionally, to raise your children. So what this kind of shows us is even in a small micro thing as parenting, there's so much different biasisms and beliefs that come into it. Am I the only one parenting? Did you guys have that too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're doing that? What brought up, anyone want to talk about in the video? Did anything bring any issue up for you? I was on this video and I was researching it, and it caused a controversial sort of fight about breastfeeding. And it was, I don't know if you ever do that when you troll and you read all the back and forth. It was insane the amount of I want to say attention the video got just from the one specific thing of breastfeeding. What else did people take away from the video?
You know, the first thing that I saw that it was biased, that women are expected to stay at home with the children as opposed to the men, if they had flipped it like that. And truly, anybody can stay at home. If, you know, anybody can be the breadwinner and the other spouse can stay at home and be just as great as the other one.
And Denise, you know how we know that? Because we've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Some moms stay at home are amazing. Some dads stay at home and they're amazing. Sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but I know families that the parents worked opposite shifts and there was always a parental home. They barely got to see each other, but it was like almost a handoff in a car, right? Like, okay, you're turn with the kids. So any dynamic can work and any dynamic can fail. So I love that it's such a great topic to start the conversation with. And you're absolutely right. And I want to challenge you. As we learn more and more today, it's awareness. And even in that video itself, was your culture and race represented? Was your, how you would include how you grow up or what you call family represented in the video? When you Google the word family, what normally comes up? If you ever Google the word, if you've ever had to write a presentation and had to find pictures to put in your presentation, what are some of the biases you see just when you're Googling photos?
Husband, wife, a baby, and a dog.
Right, right. Hence
White.
is why we can't put family in our descriptions.
So it's usually a white heterosexual female-male couple with a girl and a boy. And even when it does the shadow out of it, it usually, you could represent that. You scroll a little more and you'll start to see a little diversity in it. But even when you're looking at that, that is some of the things, the images that pop up. But we're going to get into that. That's the fun part. We'll get into a little bit. Let me share screen again so we can get into the science part, which is my favorite part. So bias is a natural inclination for or against an idea, object, group, or individual. It is often learned and is highly dependent on variables such as our socioeconomic status, race, ethnicity, education, background, etc. Normally, traditionally, if you are a specific religion, is your parents were that religion and their parents were that religion. So what we've seen in these last probably 20 to 25 years is an off-break of the chain of family in their religious churches. And we've seen more in this last 25 years than we've ever in the country of new traditional churches breaking out, or Christian churches, whereas those, it used to be the top, you know, like Catholic. There was two more. Catholic, Baptist,
Protestant,
Pentecostal.
Yeah, thank you. And now you're seeing a little more of those, but this is one of the things that we have not seen traditionally. Now, the craziest part is implicit bias is the attitude or stereotype that affect our understanding, action, and decision 90% of the time, and it's unconscious. So just like this iceberg, 90% of the things that we do are automatically responses from our head of learned things rather than a conscious choice in the moment of the interaction. And that is humanly wired because of this. The human brain takes in 11 million bits of information every second. Right now, even as you sit at Zoom, you're sitting in a room that your subconscious is picking up. You're seeing what's out your window. You're seeing what's on your walls. You're registering the small messes in the corner or in your environment. You're even registering some things in the screens. I know we all have screensavers here, but 11 million bits. And guess how much consciously we are aware of? 40. Out of 11 million. And now I want you to read that. This is every second. Every second it shifts and changes in your mind. By every perception of move of your head, that changes. And we are consciously only picking up on 40. So in order for us to survive, our brains start to categorize and become little machines that just take on the information and divide it up. And our part of our brain's main thing is to keep us alive. Now, this is the craziest part is it started because saber-toothed tigers tried to kill us. That's why the brain works the way it does, because when we were primal, things tried to kill us and we had to be aware to know in a split second to run, fight, or get the heck out. Now, I don't know about you guys, but on the way to work today, no saber-toothed tiger. However, some people drive their cars, and I think we have to be just as ready for a saber-toothed tiger that jumped out, but that's a bias. More on that. So because our brain is primal, what if our brain was registered and instead of primally always fight or flighting, what if our brain was automatically the way it does for fight or flight and taking this information? What if it was just to be kind and interact with others how we want them to interact with us? If we were hardwired that way, none of this would be necessary. The only reason all this is necessary scientifically is because our brains are operating without us. The very core function of our primitive brains is to keep us alive in a split second. Now, the byproduct of that is biasisms. Now, because it's a byproduct, researcher Dr. Jennifer Enenhart asserts that at its root, biasm is not an affection that we could be cured or banished. It's just a human condition that we have to understand and deal with. So if we could take the racism and prejudice out of when we're just talking about the bias, then we could start the conversation and bring inclusion into it. Now, I do want to stop there and I want to add, there is definitely racist, prejudiced people in the world. Absolutely. For this sake of the training and the conversation, I want to take them out and have them on the side. We'll bring them back in. But for the non-racist prejudice it is a thing they choose to do, not a bias that's implicit, that's a whole other conversation. We are just discussing the science of the brain with the implicit biasism, but we're not taking away that there are people in the world who choose to have the thoughts that they have and continue with their actions. Now, we know through studies that implicit bias alone, which we do have some control over it, we're going to get to it, but without it, with it just running rampant, wrong people are hired for the job. You don't have to like raise your hand or put in the chat, but I want you can wink at me, or you can be like, okay, I get that. Have you ever been at a job, or have you ever been with a service where it was the wrong candidate for that job? Maybe in dealing with someone that was an escrow, maybe you're like, oh, I don't know if they like numbers or something like that. It just wasn't, that person did not seem to align with the values and the services of their job. Misunderstanding what your customers want. Have you ever taken an entire inventory of what someone might want in a house and spent hours and hours and hours on your research, on your MLMs, getting the perfect day ready and being super excited, drove them around for hours, saw house after house, invested probably over 30 hours at the end of the day for them to go, that's not really what I want. Miscommunication, undervaluing. Have you ever felt undervalued in a job?
I want to see the realtors' faces. That's not what I really want.
Right, me too. At least I can see two faces. I understand why you're off camera, but it's hard when you can't see faces. Or the wrong person promoted. I don't know about in the mental health field and in some of the jobs I've been in, if you've been really good at your skilled role, you've been promoted to be in charge of other people without any leadership or any knowledge of how to help or manage people, but you're the smartest one in that one specific area. So you've been promoted to help others, and it's not worked. It's almost imploded because sometimes people who are great at a skill aren't always ready for more responsibility or supervisional duties. Anyone see that? At least put a 1 in the chat for that one, so I know it's just not me. The other thing implicit bias does is it damages your brand reputation. You lose customers and sales. And the scariest part for both of our fields, which we're always heightened, I bet, is the legal action that can be taken. eggshells of when you're just trying to do your job and there's different things that are coming in. You're like, I just want to help people find their forever home or gain some investments in property. And I have to worry about a backlash or losing my license or losing my livelihood because I might have misstepped. Now, the crazy part for both of our fields are we cannot say in a court of law with some of the things that govern us, we can't get on the stand and say, oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I just didn't know. We are held at the responsibility that if we didn't know, we're just as guilty as knowing and violating. And I think that's one of the scariest thing about the fields that we're in, is that not knowing is just as guilty as knowing and violating. That's crazy, especially with the information and the laws and the things that you guys have to intake. I'm super excited that we still have realtors after learning everything that I've learned just so far in getting prepared for the training. So all of these can be decreased. And I want to talk a little bit about your brand reputation. Jay-Z had said this best. He says, I'm a businessman. Not I'm a businessman, but I, Jay-Z, am a business. Celebrities understand it best that wherever they go, wherever they are their brand, with paparazzis following them around. One bad day and your entire career is shot. I once was doing a training with one of the ladies that was a Chicago Bulls cheerleader back in the 90s. I couldn't imagine. If any basketball fans, because 90s Chicago Bulls was why I'm here today. I thought I was maybe the first female to play in the
I'm
NBA.
from Chicago and I remember those days.
Oh,
It sure
man.
was good days.
I'll do a whole training on Pippen and Jordan and BJ, and I digress. I'm coming back.
Okay,
So,
come back.
she was a cheerleader and she had to sign a contract that she would not leave her house for any reason, even to get her mail, without her hair and makeup done. Why is that? Why would she sign an agreement?
Well,
Why would
she
you
has
have-
an image, and just by being the cheerleader, they're expecting her to always be
Yep.
very,
Looking
made up,
like a
ready to
cheerleader.
roll.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She is representing the Chicago Bulls. As a cheerleader in public, she's representation of their company. And unfortunately, with social media, the way it is today and the accessibility to cameras, you guys got to understand this. For the first time in history, we have 1 split second accessibility to a camera and 2 seconds to get that out to the nation. Everyone within 5 split seconds can record something and have it out. Now, that is scary because there is nothing on a video that gives context. There's nothing on a video that gives a meaning to the behavior. It just has the behavior and then people's opinion of the behavior. So when we are out, we are our brand, no matter where you are, especially as a realtor. I think for one of the things realizing about realtors is the, I want to say, lack of understanding for the role that you do, other than if, oh, I'm buying a house, I need a house, but understanding all the things that goes into it, and that the hours you put into your job and the hours you put into the knowledge that you have is insane. And the licenses you have to hold, the trainings you have to take, the money you have to invest, and in a split second, that could be lost. You are just as equivalent to therapists. In a split second, your license could be gone, which means your entire livelihood. And some of you 20, 30 years in this field, like that, with a wrong or even a misrepresentation of who you are in a moment. So when we're looking at these, it's not to scare you, it's to put almost that code of honor. What I say in the morning, and I love to tell when I work with my Christian clients, is it's putting the armor of God on in the morning. But we could say it this way: it's putting the armor of professionalism on in the morning and stepping out with some specific awareness, training, and readiness to whatever comes your way. You're able to maneuver through it with ethics, morals, and most importantly, influence.
Mhm.
Now, we don't have time today, but I want to go over a few of the cognitive biases, because sometimes when we say bias, people just think prejudice. And there's so much bias. This is just in the political arena. Did you know that there's a bias called Dunning-Kruger effect, which is the less someone knows about something, the more confident they are in talking about it and giving their opinion about it. I'm not being political. I'm just putting some expertise out there for your awareness. Is the mask, to wear or not to wear. How many experts have you met on social media, Facebook, in your family, at the dinner table, on a bus, in your office? The less you know about something, the more confident you are that you know what I'm talking about it. Authority bias. From a young age, I don't know about some of you guys, but I'm in my 40s and my grandpa was a teacher. My grandma was a bartender. I'm adopted, but I was taught from a young age to respect authority, no matter what that authority looks like. And it was so ingrained that when I meet people, they ask me if I was military, because I'm like, yes, sir, no, ma'am. I never cursed in front of my grandparents. I thought that would be crazy, but that is just a bias of how I was raised, was to respect authority. So now we're seeing, you could imagine if I'm raised to respect authority, and now I'm interacting with a group of individuals who were raised to gain respect first, how we might have misunderstandings of behaviors.
Yep.
I don't know if that's ever happened to you in public, depending on how you were raised too, in the sense of how others coming up are raised a little differently. But it is a bias because someone has authority that what they're saying is true. Which is we extremely played out in these last few elections. Back to political biasisms on both sides. False consensus. If we hear something enough, we start to believe it. Groupthink. If others in our group start to believe it, we start to try to fit in. Framing. How people say things differently affects how we intake it and think about it. Now, this is just 4. I'm going to blow your minds right now. Are you ready? 50. Oh. There's 50 that we need to be aware of. Some of the ones are, we search for information that helps us be right. So if we have an idea, our brains automatically look up for things to back up that idea.
Yep.
We believe that we know that in our lives that there's lots of variables that impact our behavior, but we believe others are just acting like jerks. We also have the horns and halo. If you love someone and they do a behavior that's not aligned with your ethics or values and you love them, you will say, oh, they were tired. Oh, they had this. If you do not like someone and they have a behavior not aligned with you, we call that the horns effect. You're like, that person's always. So our brains automatically categorize these things. I'm not going to go into 50 of them. We don't have time, but doesn't that not just blow you away? And there's more than 50. These are just, I wanted to stress the point. There's so much things going on in our brain without our even knowing it. But once we start to talk about it, we can be more aware of it. So here are some strategies to interrupt and decrease some of those biasisms that are automatically role-playing in our head. Attention, intention, and time. Attention, pay attention to our triggers. We know we have stereotypical responses and assumptions are activated. Intentions, know that it's happening and we want to intentionally move from some of this behavior, and make time to practice some of the strategies so that you can become more automatic at it. Here's the thing. We all have them. It's not good or bad, it's just our brains working. And learn about the different types of them is important, taking the time for that. There's also, and I'm gonna put in the chat some of these things, there's implicit tests you could take online, and it goes through different categories and it rates if you are biased in that category. And you'll be surprised what comes out of some of those tests. I was taking them just as I was setting up for this training for Sacramento about, I think it was about a year ago. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. There is a bias in your brain where you're more prone to agree with people that you find attractive. It's insane. Challenge your assumptions. Question your thinking. Why did I just have that thought? What is going on with that? Avoid generalizations. As soon as a generalization comes up, you can be like, oh, I think that's a generalization. Let me think about like individualizing, and be mindful of what you say and how you say it. We believe what we tell ourselves. Intention is just focus on people, seek diversity in interactions and friendships, increase opportunity for positive content. Perspective taking, it's what you teach your children, right? When your kid comes home and they're sad about something at school, what's some of the first lessons we teach? Was that other kid having a bad day, maybe this or maybe that, right? So you're teaching them how to look at perspective from someone else. That doesn't mean you have to accept the behavior to understand it. See people for their individual qualities and attributes. Take time to pause and reflect in conversations. Be curious and listen. As simple as they seem, and a lot of these seem like, oh yeah, I do that. If you're not intentional about it, you're probably not doing it. That goes to another bias where we think we're doing all the things, but normally if we were to watch a video of yourself during the day, we are missing out on what it is that we think we're doing compared to what others see us doing. And it just takes time. Practice, 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 having these conversations, feeling awkward, saying I feel awkward, but it helps. It helps people exhale and start conversations. So now I want to step into, well, what do we do about it? How do we build an inclusive workspace? I'm going to give you statistically what studies show help. And we're going to do it from the professionalism of what other companies are doing and how it helped. And then we're going to break into hopefully some great dialogue on where we want to start here. So conducting diversity workshops and culture trainings periodically about unconscious bias, educating the importance of inclusiveness helps. Being uncomfortable, having those conversations and doing the trainings, even having people within your organization do mini trainings also helps. When people feel that they have ownership over a certain thing, they will take more responsibility in it and feel more connected to it. So that's where we want with that sense of belonging. Creating a robust employee and customer feedback system, making your employees and your managers and your customers feel that they could come to you and voice their concerns. Even this sounds crazy, voice what's working. Having that open communication is just about feeling comfortable coming to either the supervisor or the HR and having that like, I really appreciated Denise today. She really handled this hard situation, or I was a little concerned I saw this today. I may not have the right perception, but I want to start the conversation. So it's a two-way street. It's not always about having robust conversations and feedback about what's not working, but you could start it with strength-based, what's working and what we want to continue. The other thing is conducting comprehensive evaluation of the workplace, assessing how people feel. And we like to do those anonymously. People tend to be a little more honest if they don't feel that they're attached to it, and just being open to what some of those surveys are. I wouldn't over survey people where you're coming like weekly, here's our weekly inclusive survey. We don't want to make it where it just becomes routine, but we do want to have a way to gather people's experiences. Establish a sense of belonging, have fun. Don't make it icky. Celebrate potlucks, parties, holidays, opportunities for people to present some of their culture or their traditions or something that they really connect to. Talking about different holidays. It's Christmas time, that's great, but it's also Hanukkah time, it's also Kwanzaa time. And really having that, instead of taking the stigma of like, we just say happy holiday and it crosses everybody, does that really feel good? Happy holiday? Or would it be better to have those individual conversation of what Kwanzaa means or what Hanukkah means or why we're celebrating Christmas, but really having those inclusion conversations of what people celebrate during the holidays. And also, if no one's celebrating anything, there is a group too that does not celebrate holidays. So just having those conversations and having them at the table would What would make you feel more comfortable if we would like to acknowledge these? And how can we help you be part of that conversation? An enhanced HR presence for more isolated employees. I don't know about you, but the best thing a company can do is not make HR the scary person where people only go to complain, get sued, find out about laws, but HR is intended as an employee resource so that everyone feels comfortable. And HR's job isn't to solve everything, but HR's role is to help people in conversations, help themselves and build community. And when that's not working, is step in and establish protocols and procedure so that it can work for everyone, but not be that scary, oh, I'm talking to HR today, but having that I feel comfortable voicing what I'm feeling with HR. Sometimes I may get feedback, other times I might have to have another meeting with someone else, but really having that role as we are here for the employees and we are the utmost ethics of what the laws and what our company mission and values are. What an amazing role to have. It's like having a mentor right beside you. So think of someone in your life that you feel is ethically amazing, aligns with your values, and you know is going to give you the truth. And that's what we kind of want to represent more, and not the scary person that if you're having a conversation with them, you're scared, you're at the pack a box and leave the company. But really making that role, and even if it's a committee or if there's a few people in that role, but having some safe people in the organization that others could feel comfortable having hard conversations with. And you guys are already doing this, is having committees. As crazy as it sounds, is having different people on the seat at the table and talking about what our goals are, just like you did today. But the step further would be, how do you measure? How do you measure that everyone in this group feels that they're being promoted, protected, and empowered? How do you measure that they feel there's unity when they're coming to these meetings or they're coming to trainings? And really talking about it and having that, and then having ways to check on it and always adding to it. So what is the action plan? What's next? I gave you 1,000 hours worth of information in about 30 minutes. And I just wanted to start the conversation by giving you, here's some science, here's what's working best in the field. And now you as a committee take in what I've taught, what you've learned. And I'm also going to put in the chat right now in your, get to the chat. Let me take 1 second. I'm so excited for this. Control C, I'm coming to the chat. Okay, the first link is the test, and the second link is the realtor video that is starting conversation 2, implicit bias within the realtor industry. It's about 50 minutes. I watched it, gaining a little more insight, but it's not it's a little slow, but it needs to be, right? Because it's catching people up to where we are in the conversation. But it's not a bad start to start a conversation with, let's all watch it, because it's already been sanctioned through our realtor organizations. It's already been approved and been in certain organizations. So it's a great start to have the conversation and get us all on the same page, especially if not everyone could be in the training and getting this information. It's and it also, you could probably, this is for the managers in the room, that you could probably have it as a checkbox that it was watched and sign that it was watched. And it also might protect a little into whatever's coming at you guys when it comes to implicit biasism. Now, questions, comments, concerns.
That was a lot. I love the whole presentation, and I know we probably needed, an hour and a half or so to really cover all that you brought to us today. And I always focus on trying to make everyone feel comfortable. So I would like, does anyone have any suggestions on how we can better make some of our realtors out there just feel a little more comfortable to be involved with some of these committees that we offer, so that we can all be at that table? So it's just, I don't know how to go about to get more people involved just so that they can just feel comfortable, because a lot of people, they do come in there, they don't feel that they fit in or what have you. So what are some things that we could do to make people feel more
Well,
comfortable?
I want to push back with some of you guys here, and if you're able to share, is what makes you feel comfortable? What did you appreciate when you were the first one in this group? Maybe it was live, maybe it was on Zoom, but clearly they did something. The group at that time, or the group that continues to, is that committee did something to help you feel comfortable and confident that you wanted to return and be a part of this amazing organization. And one of the first and foremost things before we open the floor is asking people if you're pronouncing their name right. Just asking, being like, am I butchering this? I'm so sorry, please help me. Because one of the most important shows of respect is that we're taking the time to be able to address one another. And Denise, I see you go as far as to sound it out in your
It doesn't work.
right.
But I still try.
She's special. She's special.
Well, I was gonna say the chair just told me I had to be here. And so
You know what? No.
I have not been able to. I just keep getting these text messages go, show up or else.
You're like, I need that money. I'm gonna be here.
You know what? I think the key is people want to feel welcome and they want to feel heard. And when you have a platform where people feel comfortable to share and to learn, I think that's the key. And I know I've shared on this committee before. I just want everybody to feel that they value. And whether you are celebrating Hanukkah or you're celebrating, Kwanzaa, your background, your culture, it matters. And I know I had the privilege of listening to some speakers that spoke on diversity and workplace culture, and you hit on a lot of the same things that they were mentioning. People in the workforce, they want to feel that, yes, I'm coming to work for a paycheck, but I want to feel that I am included in everything. You can't just have a bake sale for the Filipinos. You need to have it for everyone. Have that cultural diversity potluck. Everybody loves that. And then you just can't once a year have something where your employees are involved because we're showing that we care about you. No, have an ongoing, whether it's a book club, whether it's something you do every quarter. Let everybody feel my little input matters, and that the workplace culture, I matter to them. And it's a lot of fun ways. If you were to Google culture in the workplace, there's a lot of things that you can do. And I think in the global setting that we're in right now, people want to feel connected and they want to feel that they are included in what they say, their belief, their culture. It matters. And that's why I want people that I'm around. I challenge people to get to know somebody that does not look like you, somebody that doesn't dress like you, their culture is different from you. Get to know them. You may develop a friend that you never knew that you needed. So that was a challenge that I gave out to people. So that's my little soapbox.
Thank you, Denise. Yeah, and that's the thing. The similarities are more than people actually think. And that was part of why SRCAR has this committee too, is because we want people to understand that we support diversity, we support these things, and that we're here and we're open. So that's what we're trying to, as SRCAR, Association of Realtors. But not only that, not only did we open up our doors to just our members, but we've opened it up to everyone and whoever wants to be involved here, because we see the mission, we see the cause. This is what we want to do. And we want that message to get out there to our realtors, our community at whole as well, because this is who we serve. So, but we gotta get it out there without that barrier coming up saying, oh, here we go again. That's what we're facing sometimes in this arena, is that as soon as we, of course, introduce or even say the word diversity or what have you, it's like up. Ears are closed, eyes are shut. And so how do you get through to that? And that was part of the reason why, I brought you in too, is because I know you had some fabulous and some great ideas on what we could do to still be able to get in and get the message across.
So one thing is strength-based and edifying is definitely coming at it from a different approach and understanding the benefit of it. And I want to say understanding the power of what a real estate agent or broker or like in your industry represents. And you're kind of like us with therapists, right? Is like if someone has a bad experience with one therapist, in their conversation is like, oh, well, therapists, well, like, oh, my, agents, they only want their 3% or whatever that might be. But, as an agent, you're each individual in your approach and what you do, and you have this foundational, but the conversations that we want in the sense of is the industry as a whole and what you guys represent. I don't know about how you guys do word of mouth, but from what I understand is you could have a sale 10 years ago. And if it was amazing, someone's going to recommend you like, oh, you got to have my realtor. I had an amazing experience with a broker. I have not seen him in 11 years. And I still text him to make sure he's still a broker. And I still pass out his card. I call on my phone. It's called his is the man, because he was the man, because my credit score sucked. And he helped me get my first home he went above and beyond. So I was like, you're the man getting me this amazing thing. I only went to get advice and I got a home. So that's 11 years later now. And someone says, oh, I'm looking at a house. I'm like, you got to call the man. He's amazing. Here's his information. But how you leave others feeling, right? That it's the most popular quote out there. No one remembers what you say. They just remember how you made them feel. And if we could show up and make others feel welcomed, and I think you guys nailed it, welcome and heard, you guys are going to be unstoppable as a committee and as an individual within your field. And never be the average. Set the bar. And I know a couple of you in here, I've seen you in other committees, and you absolutely, your presence, your name has, it comes through the door before you do. Your reputation comes through the door before you do. And so that's why it's extremely important to align who you are with your values and actions and start having these conversations in a positive, uplifting way and not a nagging. You can't shame someone into changing a behavior.
Yes.
You can't.
Correct.
We have to start at the foundation of strength.
Well, I think
And
one
Roma.
of the other things that's very good, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the presentation and the conversation. I think the other thing that we have to realize is that we are also really required to make ourselves a committee of one. And so it would be hard for Janice to put me in a headlock and make me come to this meeting if we didn't have a one-on-one relationship. And so she was able to tell me, hey, here's the importance of it. And here's why you probably should be a part of it. And then here's how you could add value. And so I think that those are things as an industry we really have to make sure that we are doing, and not only on the committee, but it goes kind of beyond the committee and in our offices, as well as in our transactions. And so I think, Misty, you mentioned something earlier about, I'm not sure it was you, but we were talking about, we don't know how much power and kind of, I won't say authority, but influence that we have. And so even with folks that we're in, transactions with, and having those casual conversations, and building relationships. And I think that even as we start to tackle kind of the implicit as well as, the inherent biases, it really boils, I won't say it all boils down, but it really does boil down to building relationships to help people understand how to be better.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. Amir, that's why you here. Oh my gosh, but it is, again, it's we all need to pull together as one. Unless you can see just on this call, we have different organizations that are here. For instance, we got the Ready Committee here. We got the Inland Empire Association of Realtors that are here. We have the Asian Asian Real Estate Professional. I always screw that up. I'm a member though. The National Host Association of Hispanic Professionals. We have all of these different wonderful and powerful, I mean, making a difference out there, groups and nonprofit organizations that are on this call today. And if we all pull together, what kind of impact could we make? What could we make out there? We could make such a big difference. There is so much in the numbers and reaching out there and just making everyone be included in inclusion.
And I want to take out the fallacy that pulling together into one does not mean taking away the individuality of what
Right.
each group represents and why they're at the table. Because if you're not at the table and representing the culture and the group and the committee, it's not going to work. Because and I know it's such a quagmire for people to understand is you have to individually sit at the table while each contributing and bringing that information out without losing who you are, what your group represents, but still working together as one to uplift the entire organization, Riverside Realtors, and the industry itself.
So
that's no big deal though. No big deal.
Oh yeah, you know, it's a huge task at hand. Building relationships. How do you build relationships? How do you build relationships? We are in the business of building relationships, but does everyone know how to build relationships? Is it part of communication? How do we improve our communication to build those relationships?
So you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And so as you go throughout the day, again, those things that are important to us, then those are the things that we literally are at the top of our minds. And so as we move forward throughout and we do it, we have a great opportunity. We practice it as professionals, especially as real estate professionals. So our ears are always tuned to someone who wants to sell a house or buy a house or invest in real estate. And it is going back to something that was on one of the slides, it's almost like our brain picks it up. My brain is trained. So, I could be, when it was so funny, I was in the orthodontist. I actually had braces and Invisaligns. And so I'm laying back in the chair. If you've ever been, there are multiple seats. And I heard like a real estate conversation that was like on the other end of the room. And I was like raising my hand going, stop, get your hands out of my mouth. Because I want to talk about, I heard real estate. Time out. I heard a real estate conversation. So when we are training ourselves to be intentional, then we actually create a good bias about hearing and seeing opportunities that come to build relationships with folks that could help us further the cause. So building relationships is intentional, no matter what you want to do or what your goal is.
There we go. So we're starting to pull all of this together. Thank you, Misty, for helping us pull this together, because we do. We could just take, for instance.
Oh, that question was for Misty. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Misty.
Oh, was it a question? Shoot. Okay.
I thought we were having a conversation.
I'll send you an invoice, Janice. I'll send you the invoice.
You know what, mister? We can't play. We're not playing in the sandbox. Oh my goodness. So, but I think we can just, members of our committee, I think we are looking at some things of, and I know Misty had mentioned it in her presentation, which is part of SRCAR, promote, protect, and empower. So we could still utilize those as part of our steps as far as what we want to accomplish with this committee. Right? So promoting inclusion, diversity, right? We're protecting and empowering people to get at the, come and sit at the table, and join the conversation, help us promote what we're doing out there in the realtor community. So I think we got some good steps, and we can just build it and empower. And I think, Misty, that you brought that to our attention.
Yeah, those are amazing foundational words, and you don't want to confuse, right? You want to build of what people. Let's use bias in a positive way. You want to build of what they're already understanding of, or what they already have kind of stepped up into. Like if they're on this committee, I hope they know promote, protect, and empower, or if they're in this organization, right? And as you bring in your trainers or I went to your website, you got something daily. Holy moly. I was looking at your trainings coming up and your nonprofit things coming up. And you guys are such a robust and powerful committee, and having that just flow along the way, that's just part of what we do. How do we promote, protect, and empower individuals, cultures, ethnicities, and then just having a just more expansive conversation around what you're already doing, and then finding a way just to get people's opinion and measure it.
Absolutely. And I think just, everyone on the committee as well, just from Misty's presentation, how easy was it to digest what she was saying to us, that she presented to us? We weren't on a defensive. We didn't get on the defensive at all. And so we were being a sponge, and we were able to take in all of the information without putting up that barrier. And I think that's kind of how we need to be able to structure some of the education that we want to put on to our members or our realtors. So we have, like you said, Misty, we have all kinds of trainings that are going on, but to address the diversity in housing in the way that you presented it to us today, I think that might be the way that we can get through and get that education in there without getting that barrier thrown up front.
And the barrier is just people's defense mechanisms and whatever their experience is. So that's why I want to make it a conversation and not this is a training that we're just going to check.
Right. Right.
Because you're missing it. There is some quiet people probably in this room, but there's some quiet people in your committees and in your organization that probably have these amazing ideas to promote the committee and to promote the field. But they're scared and they're hanging back. So part of this is the inclusion is, imagine this committee with everyone's ideas just flowing, and that innovativeness of where you could take Riverside, Southern Riverside into that next level. And everywhere I go, houses are coming up. You're in such a great alignment of where this community is building and growing. And to be a part of that wave as it hits now. And I know your other wave's probably dying down, right? Where I was like, insane, but it's not over. It's like the ocean, and just gearing up people to be excited for that. Mm-hmm. And understanding the more you connect with others, and as Janice was teasing her about it, it's always about what's in it for me. And as a professional coming up in the field, to have the opportunity to help more people get into homes, make more money, and enrich my life, this sort of training and inclusion is going to be able to do that with just the skills you learn how to connect to people. And who doesn't want that in their career?
Right. And see, how we would have to present that training is in a way where it says, what's in it for me, kind of a thing, as far as, like you say, and building those communication and relationships. So that's how you get through to them, and throw in there the thought process of implicit biases. And so, you really need to be aware of what your brain is doing so that you can better serve others. And then, of course, what's in it for them, which is to make more money.
And the last suggestion I would have is your organizations, and maybe tell me if I'm misunderstanding it, but it seems to me that your organization takes realtors by the hand and helps them with everything that might come at them, whether it's a form, the laws coming up, a better way to promote homes, a better way to meet customers. It seems like you just are this one-stop shop to help any realtor that joins be successful.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that close to what you guys do?
Yes.
So in that, when you're having the conversation, utilizing the authority biasm, right? The bias is that you're part of this amazing organization, and the top to the bottom to the specific committee, this is important. You're paying us to help you be better in what you do, not get sued, and help more customers. This is going to help. So it's coming in from that. As the organization, we've aligned with our board and with our subcommittees that this is important. And this is how we're bringing, I don't care that it's mandated. As the SRCAR, it doesn't need to be mandated. We know it's important. We're bringing it to you guys because you trust us to do that.
Like it. Like it. All righty. Whoo. Well, ladies and gents, this was a lot of information, and I think it was so beneficial, and it just brought in a whole new perspective. And it's something that I would love to share. I would love to share because I think everyone's missing out on this. So, but I know we're run out of time. We're already over 3:47, and I appreciate everyone for staying on the call. I know it went a little bit longer than we wanted to, but I think it does give us some foundation. Sylvia, don't you agree, as far as being able to really focus on what our steps could be? Because and that is the promote, protect, and empower. We just build off of that, right?
And the training was because you guys are the committee members. I just wanted to give you as much information as I could so that you could digest it. In a real training, it would be more interactive and more people would be able to connect. Even if it's Zoom, it's better in person. But I wanted you guys at the top to have the information to be able to disseminate it and then decide what's important to you to roll out. And I don't know who's in charge of your trainings, but please feel free to I'll send you my presentation, anything that I have, and please feel free to steal it and take whatever you need from it.
Okay, perfect. All righty. Well, I'm glad we were able to have Connie Lynch on the Zoom call today. I thank you so much for joining us. This is Connie Lynch. Misty is actually our CEO of SRCAR. So yeah, so she was able to hear your presentation and your ideas and your perspective, and also hopefully, maybe we can have another discussion on how we can better communicate this with our members, maybe in a different type of a setting, of course, in a training or something like that. Because I think the way you presented it was easy to absorb. I really do, and it was fun. So, and of course, you had to rush it in a matter of 30 minutes. Oh boy. So if anyone doesn't have any more questions for Misty, and Misty, if you want to post your contact, if anyone wants to reach out to you later, because we do have different organizations on this call, they may want to utilize your services as far as maybe doing a presentation or something like that. You can throw that in the chat. Everybody can pull up that information. And we did it again, ladies and gents. One more meeting, but I'm going to tell you, look out for some emails from me because we still got some things to discuss. Yeah. So again, meeting is adjourned. Our next meeting will be third Tuesday of next month in November. We do have, remember everybody, we do have Habitat for Humanity that's going to be coming on the call next month. So, and then that's just another avenue of how we can promote and protect and empower our community with Habitat for Humanity, and showing that SRCAR is out there to support. All righty. So it's adjourned, y'all. So y'all can relax and now talk.
Great job, Misty. Great job, Janice.
Everybody.